Have you ever noticed that the heaviest weight you carry is often a timeline you never agreed to? You look around, see someone else succeeding at the exact thing you want to do, and a quiet, crushing thought whispers in your mind, "I am too late. They started earlier, and now my chance is gone." What if the thing you are desperately trying to measure yourself against is the very thing stealing your peace? Most of your suffering in these moments is not caused by reality. It is caused by how tightly you are holding on to the illusion of being behind. If you have ever felt stuck, anxious, exhausted, or invisible because you feel like life has passed you by, this is for you. Stay until the end, because the final lesson may change the way you see this pain forever. Here is the truth few people want to face. The tighter you hold on to the idea that someone else took your place, the more you suffer. We look at others who started years ago, who have built the life, the career, or the peace we crave. We see their success, and instead of feeling inspired, we feel a deep, hidden ache. We tell ourselves that because they are already there is no room left for us. We replay our past decisions. We worry about the future. We criticize ourselves for not waking up sooner, for taking too long to figure things out, for wasting time. And in doing so, we punish ourselves for not knowing then what we know now. Buddhist wisdom teaches that much of our suffering comes from attachment, specifically attachment to how we think things should be. In Buddhist thought, the mind creates suffering by splitting reality into two, the present moment as it is, and the imaginary moment where we think we should be. When we obsess over someone else's journey, we are not living in reality. We are living in a projection. We are clinging to a ghost. One of the deepest lessons of Buddhism is the understanding of non-attachment. It reminds us that no two journeys can ever occupy the exact same space, and therefore, no one can ever take what is meant for you. Imagine a river flowing toward the ocean. If you stand on the bank and watch a boat sail past, do you look at the water and think the river is now empty? Do you believe the boat took all the water with it? Of course not. The river continues to flow. It is endlessly abundant. Yet, when we see someone succeed in our field or reach a milestone we are still walking toward, we act as if the river has run dry. We bring this scarcity into our modern lives. We scroll through social media, seeing the highlights of someone's decade-long effort, and we use their harvest as a weapon to beat ourselves for still being in the planting season. Ask yourself, what are you still holding on to? What imaginary finish line are you punishing yourself for not crossing? Is the thought of being too late bringing you peace, or is it feeding your fear? Pause, breathe, observe the thought without following it. Let the feeling of being behind rise without making it your identity. You do not have to chase what you think you missed. Your timeline is not defective. It is simply yours. Stop trying to force the door of the past open, wishing you had walked through it 5 years ago. Because peace is not something you chase by speeding up to catch others. It is something you make space for right where you stand. But letting go of this imaginary race is only the first step. And this is where the next truth begins. Because beneath every comparison is a deeper wound waiting to be understood. What if the pain of comparison is not actually about the other person at all? Here is a truth that is difficult to sit with. When you look at someone else and feel the sharp sting of being left behind, you are not really seeing them. You are seeing a reflection of your own deepest fears. We look at a colleague who has already built the career we want, a creator who has mastered the art we are just beginning to learn, or a stranger who seems perfectly at peace. Instantly, the mind tells a familiar story. It says their success is proof of our failure. We treat this comparison as if it is objective truth. We believe it like a mathematical fact. We use their visible achievements to validate our hidden insecurities. Without realizing it, we allow someone else's existence to shrink our own worth. In Buddhist thought, the mind is conditioned to measure, to weigh, and to label. It creates a false reality where your value is always in competition with the universe. But Buddhism reminds us that this suffering is born from an illusion. The feeling of being less than is simply a passing thought, a dark cloud drifting across the vast sky of your awareness. When we cling to that cloud, when we believe it is the entire sky, we trap ourselves in suffering. We forget that the mind is a master storyteller, and not all of its stories are true. Imagine you are walking down a long, dark path, holding a single small candle. In the distance, you see a house blazing with light, every window glowing brilliantly. If you stare too long at the house, your little candle will seem useless. You might even blow it out in frustration, thinking its flame is too weak to matter. But the candle was never meant to light up the whole world. It was only meant to illuminate your very next step. By blowing it out just because it is not as bright as the distant house, you plunge yourself entirely into darkness. This is exactly what we do in our daily lives. You start a new project, a new path of healing, or a new journey. You take your first courageous steps. But then you look at someone who has been walking their path for years. Their light seems so much brighter, and in that quiet moment of comparison, you extinguish your own joy. You stop trying. You let the fear of not being good enough stop you from being anything at all. You sacrifice your own beginning because you are intimidated by someone else's middle. Think about your own life. Who are you constantly measuring yourself against? What happens to your energy when you stare too long at their light? Are you feeding your growth, or are you starving your own potential? The next time the heavy urge to compare rises within you, pause, breathe. Notice the thought without believing it. You do not have to fight the feeling, but you do not have to follow it either. Let the feeling rise without making it your identity. Tend to your own small flame. Do your part, then release the outcome. You do not have to be the loudest or the brightest to be worthy of the journey. You only have to be present. But breaking the habit of comparison requires us to look at the invisible clock we are all racing against. And this is where the next truth begins, because the pressure you feel is deeply rooted in a timeline that does not actually exist. 3. The myth of the universal timeline. What if the invisible clock ticking loudly in your mind was placed there by a world that knows nothing of your true nature? Here is a truth that many spend their entire lives running from. The timeline you are failing to meet is not real. We live our lives rushing to check invisible boxes by a certain age, finding the right career, achieving a specific level of success, figuring out our life's purpose. When we look around and see others hitting those marks, while we are still trying to find our footing, a quiet panic sets in. We feel a crushing pressure to succeed, a suffocating fear of being left behind. We try to control the timing of our lives, forcing doors open that are clearly still locked, demanding that the universe hand us the harvest before our roots have even grown. We punish ourselves for taking longer to heal, longer to learn, and longer to arrive. We act as if life is a strict train schedule, and because we missed the early departure, we are doomed to wait in the empty station forever. In Buddhist thought, this deep emotional exhaustion arises from ignoring the natural order of things. We suffer because we demand the world move at the speed of our anxiety. We attach our self-worth to an artificial schedule, and in doing so, we completely disconnect from the reality of the present moment. Buddhism reminds us of the profound peace found in acceptance. When you fight the reality of where you are, you multiply your pain. You miss the life happening right in front of you because you are busy mourning a deadline you missed in your mind. Imagine a seed planted deep in the earth, growing in complete darkness. Does the seed consult a calendar to decide when it should break through the soil? Does an oak tree look at the pine and weep because it grew its leaves a week later? Does a winter landscape feel like a failure because it is not blooming like the spring? No. Nature does not rush, yet everything is accomplished. The seed simply responds to the soil, the water, and the sun exactly when the conditions are right. Yet, in our modern lives, we act as if we are failing nature's test. You look at your peers stepping into their success, and suddenly your own path feels like a long series of mistakes. You scroll through your phone, absorbing the highlights of 1,000 strangers, condensing their varied timelines into a single, heavy stone that you carry in your chest. You exhaust yourself by trying to force your life into a mold it was never meant to fit. Ask yourself, who gave you the timeline you are punishing yourself for? What would happen if you simply stopped keeping score? Is this constant rushing bringing you closer to peace, or pushing it further away? Pause, breathe, drop the heavy stone of expectation. You do not have to arrive before you are ready. Stop trying to force the door open. Honor the season you are currently in. Let the feelings of urgency rise and fall without letting them dictate your worth. Because true peace is not found by catching up to the rest of the world. It is found by stepping out of the race altogether. But to do that, you must stop using someone else's harvest to judge your seeds. And this is where the next truth begins. Because the way you measure yourself against others is inherently flawed. 4. Measuring your day, 1 against their year 10. What if you are judging your raw beginnings by someone else's polished ending? Here is the truth few people want to face. We are notoriously unfair to ourselves when we start something new, when we finally gather the courage to begin to change our lives, to learn a new skill, to launch a project, or to step onto a new path of healing. We immediately look for proof that we are doing it right. And where do we look? We look at those who have been doing it for a decade. We compare our clumsy first steps to their effortless stride. We look at their finished masterpiece and then stare down at our own messy, unformed clay. Instantly, the heavy voice of doubt wakes up. We tell ourselves that we are too far behind. We convince ourselves that there is no point in even trying. Without realizing it, we weaponize their years of unseen struggle against our single moment of vulnerability. Buddhist wisdom teaches the profound value of beginner's mind. This is the practice of approaching life with openness, eagerness, and a lack of preconceptions, just as a beginner would. In Buddhist thought, suffering arises when we lose this mind and instead attach ourselves to the illusion of instant perfection. We forget the law of gradual unfolding. We want the wisdom of the master without walking the path of the student. We forget that the beautiful lotus flower must push its way through the dark, heavy mud for a very long time before it ever rests peacefully on the surface of the water. Imagine standing at the base of a towering, magnificent mountain. You take your very first step onto the rocky trail. Far above you, near the peak, you see another climber. They are moving smoothly, standing above the clouds, looking out over the horizon. If you look up at them and say, "Why am I not up there? Why are my legs shaking when theirs are steady?" You are ignoring reality. You are ignoring the thousands of jagged rocks, the harsh storms, and the quiet, lonely exhaustion they had to endure to reach that altitude. You are comparing the heavy sweat of your first step to the cool wind at their summit. This is exactly how we navigate our modern lives. You try to rebuild your confidence, and you feel broken because you are not as unshakable as someone who walked through their grief years ago. You start a new career, and you feel like a failure because you do not have the quiet authority of someone who has spent a lifetime in the room. We look at the final chapter of someone else's story, and we punish ourselves for still writing our introduction. Think about your own life. Who are you using as a weapon against your own beginnings? Why do you believe you are not allowed to be a student? What would happen if you finally gave yourself permission to simply start? Pause. Breathe. Give yourself the grace to be exactly where you are. Stop demanding the summit on your very first day. Let the awkward, clumsy beginning be enough. Honor the trembling in your legs. Do your part, then release the outcome. Because peace is not found by skipping the journey to reach the end. It is found by respecting the dirt beneath your feet right now. But letting go of this unfair measurement is only part of the work, and this is where the next truth begins. Because the energy you spend watching others climb is the exact energy you need to take your own next step. 5. Reclaiming your energy from envy and regret. What if the exact strength you need to change your life is currently being wasted on watching someone else live theirs? Here is a truth that is difficult to admit. Envy and regret are not just painful emotions, they are quiet thieves. When we obsess over the fact that someone else started earlier and got further, we do more than just feel sad. We actively drain our own life force. We sit in quiet resentment. We spend hours replaying our past choices, mentally rewriting history, wishing we had taken a different path 10 years ago. We look sideways at a colleague, a friend, or a stranger, and we pour all our mental focus into their achievements. Without realizing it, we become completely paralyzed. We are so busy mourning the chance we think we missed, that we completely abandon the chance we have right now. Buddhist wisdom teaches that where we place our attention is where we place our life. In Buddhist thought, mindfulness is not just about feeling calm. It is about waking up to where you are actually standing. When you live in regret of the past or in envy of someone else's present, your mind is wandering in a ghost world. You are actively abandoning yourself. Buddhism reminds us that the energy of your awareness is sacred. Every moment you spend clinging to the illusion of another person's perfect journey is a moment stolen from your own reality. Imagine standing in a dry, barren field. In your hands, you hold a single bucket of fresh water. Right next to you is a fence, and on the other side of that fence is a lush, blooming garden. Instead of watering the dry earth at your own feet, you stand at the fence and pour your precious water onto your neighbor's fully grown flowers. You stare at their beautiful blossoms and weep because your side of the fence is nothing but dust. But your soil is not broken. It is simply thirsty, and you are giving all your water away to a garden that is not yours. This is what we do when we lose ourselves in comparison. We pour our vital energy into scrolling through social media, tracking a rival's progress and agonizing over someone else's success. We end our days completely exhausted, not from doing our own meaningful work, but from carrying the heavy weight of their achievements. We leave our own potential to wither in the dust, starving our own dreams, because we are too busy staring over the fence. Think about your own life. Where is your water going? How much of your daily thought belongs to someone else's life? Are you nourishing your own roots, or are you abandoning your own soil? Pause, breathe, call your energy back. When you catch your mind wandering over the fence, gently guide it home. You do not have to fight the envy, but you must stop feeding it. Water your own earth. Tend to the space where you are actually standing right now. Do your part, then release the outcome. Because true peace is not found by wishing you were standing in someone else's garden. It is found by cultivating the ground beneath your own feet. But to do this, we must trust the timing of our own blossoming. And this is where the next truth begins. Because nature has a deep wisdom that the anxious mind refuses to see. 6. The wisdom of the blooming flower. What if your delay is not a denial, but a necessary gathering of strength? Here is a truth we often fight against. growth cannot be bullied into happening faster. When we feel behind, we try to aggressively force our own timeline. We hustle harder, we panic, and we pull at the threads of our lives, demanding that things make sense right now. We see someone younger, or someone who started at the exact same time as us, receiving their rewards, and we feel a deep, burning shame about our own perceived stagnation. We convince ourselves that because we are not blooming, we must be dying. We view our quiet periods as wasted time, treating our own natural pauses as if they are personal failures. Buddhist wisdom teaches that everything in the universe arises only when the exact right conditions are present. In Buddhist thought, a delay is not a punishment. It is simply the reality that the unique causes and conditions for your particular path have not yet fully aligned. Buddhism reminds us to honor the quiet, invisible phases of our lives. There is profound movement happening in the stillness. A tree does not apologize for losing its leaves in winter, and it does not rush to grow them back before the sun returns. It simply trusts the unseen work happening deep in its roots. Imagine a beautiful garden at the turning of the seasons. The snowdrops push through the freezing mud early, catching the very first light of the year. Weeks later, the tulips rise, and long after them, in the intense heat of midsummer, the lotus finally opens. If the lotus looked at the early snowdrop and felt ashamed for still being buried in the dark mud, it would misunderstand its entirely different nature. The lotus is not late. It is not failing. It simply requires a different season, a different depth, and a different kind of warmth to open. We forget this when navigating our own modern lives. You watch a friend settle into a perfect life in their 20s, while you are starting over from scratch in your 40s. You see a peer being celebrated for their rapid success, while you are slowly, quietly building an entirely new dream in the background. We demand the early bloom of the snowdrop, completely ignoring the fact that our roots might be preparing to hold the weight of something entirely different. We call ourselves failures simply because we are not blooming in someone else's season. Ask yourself, are you trying to force a summer bloom in the middle of your personal winter? What if your slow progress is not a mistake, but deep preparation? What would change if you stopped punishing yourself for the time it takes to build a strong foundation? Pause, breathe, observe the pressure in your chest without obeying it. Let the feeling of urgency pass like a sudden, rough gust of wind. Stop trying to pry your own petals open before they are ready. Honor the quiet work happening in the dark. Do your part, then release the timeline, because true peace is not found by rushing the harvest to impress the world. It is found by trusting the dark dirt of the present moment. But trusting your own season requires you to finally drop the measuring stick. And this is where the next truth begins. Because stepping away from comparison is the only way to invite deep, lasting acceptance. 7. Shifting from comparison to deep acceptance. What if the only way to truly move forward is to completely surrender the need to be anywhere else? Here is a truth that goes against everything the modern world teaches us. We have been conditioned to believe that acceptance means giving up. When we feel like we are falling behind, we fight our own reality. We believe that if we accept our current position, if we make peace with our age, our career, our single status, or our unfinished healing, we are somehow settling for failure. We convince ourselves that hating our current circumstances is the only fuel that will push us forward. So, we live in constant friction. We resent our daily lives, feeling a quiet, heavy anger that we are not further along, richer, wiser, or more established. We treat the present moment as an enemy to defeat, rather than a place to stand. In Buddhist thought, this resistance is the very root of our exhaustion. There is a profound teaching that suffering is simply pain multiplied by resistance. When we refuse to accept where we are fighting the universe. Buddhism reminds us that deep acceptance is not passive surrender. It is not resignation. It is absolute clarity. It is the courageous act of dropping the heavy illusion of how things should be, so you can finally see how things actually are. You cannot navigate a map if you lie about your starting point. Imagine a person swimming in the ocean who suddenly finds themselves caught in a powerful, sweeping current. If they panic, look at the calm water far away and try to violently swim against the rough tide. They will only exhaust themselves. Their struggle will drag them under. But if they stop fighting, flip onto their back, and simply accept the current, they will float. The water will carry them for a while, but eventually the current will release them. Only then, with their energy preserved, can they slowly and safely swim to the shore. We do the exact opposite in our daily lives. You look at your peers resting on the calm shore of their success, and you panic. You thrash against the rough waters of your own current, exhausting yourself with envy and frustration, wondering why life is so hard for you and so easy for them. You fight the reality of your own struggle, demanding that the ocean instantly become calm. And in doing so, you pull yourself under. You lose the strength you need to actually swim forward. Ask yourself, what current are you exhausting yourself fighting right now? Is your refusal to accept this chapter actually preventing you from writing the next one? What would it feel like to simply stop fighting reality? Pause. Breathe. Let the reality of this exact moment simply be what it is. You do not have to love where you are, but you must stop fighting the fact that you are here. Drop the heavy weapons of comparison. Float for a moment. Let the feeling of being behind wash over you without pulling you under. Do your part, then release the outcome. Because true peace is not a destination you finally reach after you win the race. It is a quiet surrender that happens exactly where you are standing right now. But letting go of this resistance reveals one final, beautiful reality, and this is where the final truth begins. Because when the noise of comparison finally fades, you are left with something profound. 8. Your path is uniquely yours. What if the timeline you have been fighting so desperately was never actually yours to begin with? Let us return to that quiet, crushing thought from the beginning, the fear that because someone else started earlier, your chance is entirely gone. We spend so much of our lives shrinking in the shadows of other people's milestones. We measure our worth by the speed of our arrival. But underneath all the panic, all the comparison, and all the quiet exhaustion lies a beautiful, unchanging reality. No one can ever take what is meant for you. In Buddhist thought, the highest form of peace comes when we stop trying to live in a reality that does not exist. The past is a memory. The future is an illusion. The only place you can ever truly live, heal, or grow is right here, in the present moment. When you let go of the imaginary race, you are not giving up on your dreams. You are finally respecting yourself enough to walk your own path. Non-attachment does not mean you stop caring about your life. It means you stop letting an invisible clock dictate your inner peace. Imagine a deep, ancient forest. If 1,000 people walk through it, they do not all walk the exact same line. Some paths are direct, wide, and clear. Some wind through the dark, heavy trees for a very long time before finally reaching the light. If you stand on your winding, quiet path and weep because you cannot see the clearing yet, you miss the profound beauty of the earth beneath your feet. Your path is not broken because it is longer. It is not wrong because it took you years to finally find the courage to take the first step. The path only exists because you are walking it. You did not miss your chance. The years you spent wandering, the relationships that did not work out, the careers that did not fit, the time you spent simply trying to survive, none of it was wasted time. It was the deep, unseen soil required for you to grow. The person who started 10 years ago did not face your specific obstacles. They did not have your unique heartbreak. They did not carry your specific burdens. Therefore, comparing your timeline to theirs is not just unfair, it is a rejection of your own remarkable survival. When you look at someone who started a decade ago, bless their journey, and then gently return to your own, you are exactly where you need to be. You have the exact wisdom required for this exact chapter. The only thing you are truly late for is the appointment with your own self-acceptance. Ask yourself one last time, are you finally ready to drop the heavy stone of comparison? Are you ready to forgive yourself for not knowing then what you know now? Pause, breathe, let the heavy timeline shatter. You do not need to rush anymore. You do not need to look over the fence. You are not a secondary character in someone else's success story. You are the author of your own. Trust your roots. Honor your season. Let the noise of the world fade away. If these lessons touched your heart, share this video with someone who may need a little more peace today. You can let go now.